Welcome, everybody. This is the Mother Hustler podcast. I'm your host, Kareen Mills, and today we are excited and we are graced with this amazing, beautiful woman, Lani Grass. Hello, Lani.
Hi, everyone. Hi,
How are you?
Kareem. I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Good, good. It is, I watch you on social media and I love what you do, empowering other women. Hear a lot of great things about your coaching, confidence coach, and all that good stuff. But tell us your journey, because we all have a story behind our glory. And the whole main frame of this podcast is to validate and give value. So it's cool because it's double V. Validate the ones like you and me, because we still have our days, right?
Absolutely.
To those that are thinking about it, they're fearful about doing it, and they just don't have a community to plug in. What better way to plug in a podcast? So I'll just let you take over and you tell us where you want to take us from, based on what you've gone through in your journey and how you got here.
Sure. Well, thanks for the opportunity, Kareen. I really admire you and your determination and your heart to help other people, other women in particular now. And, you know, you're just that girl that just goes for it. And then, you know, you're in my tribe. You're that woman who takes that imperfect action and then gets up until it's perfect. That's my motto, is take massive imperfect action.
Wow.
And I don't know what got me to really believe that is the way to go. It's a journey in my life. You know, I feel like I'm just further along on the path that my clients are, basically. So I live in Portland, Oregon, and I'm a personal brand coach and image consultant. And I help people play a bigger role in their life based on who they authentically are. So what I love to do is just help people magnify who they are from the inside out, find out what their value is to the world, and then create a pathway to help other people, whether it's in business, whether it's in a career, whether it's in the personal life, or just, you know, an all around 360 approach, right? So I believe that the thing that people in my tribe and yours too is that we want to find out what our potential is, right?
Right.
And that's different for everyone. And we shouldn't be comparing each other, but we want to know what's right for us, right? So my journey to being an entrepreneur didn't start intentionally being an entrepreneur. My mom was an entrepreneur growing up. You know, I watched her. She was very artistic and created ceramics, and she went to art shows, and she did that, you know, while she was a mom. I never really paid attention. She'd done that my whole life. She'd always like made jewelry, or, you know, she was always selling something, but she was always able to be a full-time mom. I think it just sunk into me. It never occurred to me that you can't make a living being an entrepreneur. Right? It's just, I don't think if I ever got it modeled, I wouldn't have understood that, right? In the 90s, it's so funny. I think back now how long I've been trying to help women. And I didn't really think about it until recently, because you invited me to be on your awesome podcast. And I remembered in 1995, when I was working a retail job. I came from the Nordstrom, you know, retail world, retail management and human resources and all that. That at the time I was really good at dressing women, and I loved to help people, you know, be their best self. And I actually created this book, this little mini book that I actually printed. It's called How to Create 27 Different Outfits Out of 9 Pieces of Clothing, or something really basic. Wow. Look like that. I printed it, and get this, Kareen, I put it a magazine. I put an ad in the back of Working Mother magazine.
Wow.
And I sold 200 copies for $9.95.
Wow.
And I think of that now. It's like, wow, I've been doing this for a long time. Um, and then I wanted to be, wanted to stay home with my children. And so I
Yeah.
created a business doing medical transcription in 1997 so that I could have that balance. So I could work from home, make a great living, and be able to have everything I wanted all at the same time. Because I believe you can. It doesn't have to happen in every single second of every day, but I think that it's absolutely possible that as working moms, we can have the life balance and the
Correct.
joy and the money and the abundance and everything we want, right? I know that this is what you've created for yourself too. So I did that for a long time. And then in 2010, so I was in Hawaii at the time. I was living in Hawaii at the time, and I was shopping with my best friend who hates to shop. And she actually detests it, and she happens to be a business coach. And I couldn't believe I'd actually met somebody who hates to shop. But I said, oh, it's easy for me. Let's go shopping. And I found all these fun things for her and just threw her in a dressing room and threw a bunch of clothes at her. And she was like, wow. This is awesome. She goes, you should make a business out of this. And I thought, okay. Well, I was working a outside sales and marketing job at the time in Hawaii. And then she said, she said, you should make a business out of this. And I thought, well, why not? I've been doing this forever for free. I mean, how many years have I spent trying to create a home-based business in a way I can help other people make good money? I thought, wow, perfect. So I took her program, hired my first coach, created a business out of it in 2010. And then all along the way, and then I moved to Portland and had to, the next year, and had to just meet new people and gain traction in Portland. And my business started evolving into confidence coaching. All along the way, I decided that what people would come to me for image and styling, but what they really wanted was confidence. And they wanted it in different ways. And so in 2011, I gave my first talk on your image and brand. Your image and brand. And so it was at a Lake Oswego chamber when I just moved to Portland. And ever since then, I've been talking about personal branding. But personal branding to me is all about confidence, but it's also it's mainly about figuring out who you are and figuring out what you want, but really figuring out what is your value to the world. Because your brand doesn't resonate with other people unless you bring value to other people.
Yeah. Unless the brand synchronizes with who you are.
Exactly. It has to synchronize with who you are, because it's exhausting to show up and be something that you say you are and you're not. It's like an imposter, So, my business has just really taken off, and it's so rewarding. And I love it. I do a lot of personal branding right now in my business.
Wow. I really like how you had a mother as a model too, because I tell my kids all the time, I miss my mama. Mothers also need their mothers. And I think a lot of it we learn from them. And your mom, just like my mom, was always an entrepreneur, but my mom had always really struggled. And I saw that part of her business that was such a struggle. And of course, my dad didn't make it easy for her, because my dad was a gambler, really bad one. And so he would take all her money away, and she would scramble where she's going to get the money to buy more goods to sell. And it was really, I saw that part of entrepreneurship, but it didn't scare me. And I think my mom's drive came from, she always wanted to leave my dad, but she never did. And she really worked so hard to see if she could provide for herself and her kids and be able to leave my dad, but like she never did because my dad took away all her money all the time. So that part is just like helped me mold too. And I love that in the beginning you just started talking about your mom. And I think as great of a woman as we are, we come from something, right? Just like anybody else. And we come from the experience of growing up. And it's really when we are molded when we're little girl, and it's that little girl inside of you. But I also love how you transition into the helping your friends shopping. And if we just be so awakened by our daily activities and our daily life, you can literally make a business out of any need.
Oh,
right?
Very true. Yes. Kareen, can we go back a second and talk about my mom too? Because what you said really resonated with me. Thank you for sharing that about your mom, because I don't know if you know this, and so I wasn't going to go this way in this interview, but I can. A lot of people know this story that my mom, although she was an entrepreneur, she was also in 3 abusive marriages. Mm-hmm. And each one abused her in a different way.
You said 3?
3. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And as the eldest of 3 girls, I got to watch it, and I got to kind of take stewardship over my sisters and be the stable one. So what the thing I noticed, and my mom's been dead for 16 years. She died of cancer about 16 years ago. And so it's funny because I couldn't connect the dots until it was behind me, right? But part of the reason I have the courage and drive that I have, and why I always, show up for myself and do the thing that seems maybe to some people like it'd be really courageous, is because my mom, she'd be abused and she'd come out of the bedroom every day and she'd be completely dressed. She'd have her makeup on. She'd have like a really cute outfit on. And I knew what happened the night before because I'd hear them, wrestling around the bedroom. I knew that she was being abused, but her bruises were hidden. Wow. And so people couldn't see. And I was too young to verbalize, ask for help. I just did what my mom told me to do, right? But I watched her come out of the bedroom and she was did a 180, and she was like, trying to be chipper, make us breakfast, somebody come to the door or the phone would ring. She'd pretend like everything was, just perfect. And I, for a long time, didn't like it because I thought she was being, pretending to be something she wasn't. And it made me mad. And I believe that that's why authenticity is my biggest core value now.
Wow.
From that. But my takeaway when I thought about her journey, and I put this together when I was giving a talk about 2 years ago, was that what I thought was that she was showing up being pretentious, was that she was showing up for herself and her girls, because what else could you do? I mean, if she's supposed to stay in the bedroom all day and just curl up in a ball and cry because she couldn't leave this man because he was, financially holding all the cards, or did she have to just pull herself together and go make breakfast?
Right.
Go, show up for herself in the world. She had no choice.
Yeah, I was telling somebody over coffee that, and it kind of just came to me like you, it doesn't really you can't put it together unless it's behind you, yes. Right? And so I said, the first decade of my life, I watched my mom struggle so much, right? Like so much. Like I used to think like you that, gosh, my mom is the weakest woman I've ever known, And then the second decade of my life, of course, transitioning into adulthood, young adulthood and teenage years, the first decade, I was an observer. The second decade, I was more of, I had feelings now and I knew how to project my feelings to the world. And I hated my mother for putting up with my dad. Yeah. But I was telling you that I think she was trying to leave him and have her own resources, but she could never catch up because my dad would take it away. So she was only doing the best she can. And then the third decade of my life is when I became a mother. And when I became a mother I was pregnant at 26, and then I gave birth, a year, 9 months later. And when I became a mother and I had this little human to take care of for the very first time in my life, I started embracing, and everything that my mother was doing, it started like flashbacking for me. And I started realizing that she was only doing her best. And then now my fourth decade is like a full-blown awakening of my life. And I always say this, that I didn't know I didn't realize what strength really meant until now. I've been a mom for 12 years, and I finally got why my mom did everything she could.
Right. Isn't it amazing?
Super. It's such a journey. Yeah, it's such a journey. And like your drive come from that. My drive sure as hell comes from that, because I used to cry when I tell the story, but I've embraced it as part of me, and that's why I became who I am, right? So it's no longer an emotional, it still brings back emotion, but I know how to kind of tone it down. People always ask me, why are you so driven? Like, you have a lot of non-negotiable and you just go for it. And like I take a lot of imperfect actions. And I think because I saw what my mom had to go through and what I am going, like if I have struggles in my business, it's nothing like my mom's with 6 children. So I see that I complain about.
Yes. Your mom had 6 children?
So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We would leave the house temporarily, and she would drag all of us, and then we just get back to the house again. And I mean, it was just a constant attempt of leaving, but she couldn't. She had no resources. So, and that was another thing, is because I grew up seeing my mom had no options. Like, that's why I own my career. That's why I never let myself be complacent and be taking care of another man. I want to take care. And it sounds sometimes too strong for people, but Lani, you have to understand the story. And that's why I want to hear the story of each woman that I have, because unless you truly understand somebody's journey, you don't understand their drive, why it is that they're so driven. Right.
Which brings me to another point that I felt led to talk to you about this morning, is that, do you ever come across, because we are really courageous women, right? We take that imperfect action. We're not afraid of it. We're not afraid to fail forward, right? All those things. Do you ever get some pushback, is like, why are you doing this? Like, who are you to do this? One of my favorite hashtags I use all the time is claim your throne.
Wow.
Is because I believe that we all have gifts that, you need to claim your mastery. I know what I'm masterful at. You know what you're masterful at. You claim it. Why can't we claim it? Why can't everyone claim it? Yeah. Right? Like, why not? Mm-hmm. Why do we have to hold each other back? You know? So I created my business and my career helping other people claim their throne and moving forward. And
that's a beautiful thing.
To me, because I had to decide from watching my mom, that I had to decide what I wanted from my future, create in my life with intention, basically. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I didn't want to leave it, even though it's at great risk, maybe to some people. To me, I'm creating the life that I want.
Yes.
I'm creating my destiny, and hopefully, being an example for my kids.
Yeah. So that, you and I are in a sandwich right now. We're in between that, like honoring our mom, understanding what they went through, and then now being that, taking what we learned from them and becoming that parent of our own and a mother of our own. So you now talk about transition into becoming that great example to your kids. And I talk almost always, a lot of the moms that I talk to in my podcast is that they say your kids will listen to what you're doing, not what you tell them.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
They are more adaptive to what you're showing them versus what you nag them to do.
Right.
So you earlier off record, you talk about this card, and you and me are the same. Like, my drive not only comes from growing up seeing my mother, it also comes from, I don't want my kids to grow up that way, and I want to show them the most positive example, that way I can build them to become this badass human being down the road.
Exactly.
Right? So there's two sources of our drive, and then of course other women, because your energy projects to me, and I become a better person because of the women that I surround myself with.
Absolutely.
The community. So you talked about this card earlier.
Oh, I wanted to share it with you. It's so cute. It's my daughter made me this Happy Mother's Day card this year.
That's beautiful.
And like you said, our drive, we overcome our past and use it as reframe it, and then use it as a catalyst, right? Mm-hmm. For our future. But also, since we're not suffering, hopefully, in the way that our mothers did, how do we become an example and a catalyst for our own children, right? In a positive way. And that's part of the drive that I have, is like, I'm not going to hopefully not let my daughter go through, my kids go through what I had to go through, but mm-hmm. I want to inspire them. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes when you think your kids are not watching, like what you said, you can tell them a lot. You can have them watch videos that inspire them. You can speak the words, but in the end, they're watching you, what you're doing, mm-hmm. right? So I wanted to read you this card that my daughter wrote. It says, "Dear Mom, I can't thank you enough for all the things you've done for me. You're my biggest supporter and my best friend. I love you. The top women of magazines should come to you and ask for tips on how to be a good mother.
Wow.
You're my inspiration and my hero. I'm so blessed to have a mother as nurturing and understanding as you are. Thank you for putting up with all my shenanigans. Love, Allie."
Wow. Wow.
I think it's so sweet. When she said, the top women of magazine should come to you and ask for tips. And I thought, okay, she's going to go down this road of like coaching. And then she goes in how to be a good mother. I started crying.
Wow. That's profound.
Yeah.
Profound. That's like an ultimate goal of every great mom, is to be recognized, because it's not easy. No. It's work, and doing that and running a business and trying to find your, space and own your throne, like you said. Mm-hmm. Claiming your throne. And it takes a while to figure that out too. Like for me, the Mother Hustler brand, it just surfaced for me. Like I have been on this journey of finding my niche, right?
Yeah.
And as an immigrant, I tried to tap into that niche because I am one. Like you said, you have mm-hmm. to kind of look back and say, who are you?
Right.
It didn't work for me. Like I had not, I think because that was part of my past, although that was 20 years ago, and it's still, it's still a huge part of me because that is part of my story. I think you maybe have to look at, okay, who are you currently, right? Because I think that we tend to, even because it's part of our journey, we tend to revisit the past. And it's really difficult to maneuver your way into the niche if you base it in the past. I think
absolutely.
I think if for anybody out there listening that is still struggling to find their niche, I think that you have to use the power of now, like the book says.
Yes.
to really understand those pasts happened. And yes, we don't want to question the past, but you are here now, and use the now and see who you are and who you've become. And then that's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, when I knew that and when I realized that that was it for me, it was like, oh, it's been around me. I mean, I've been doing this for so long.
You have. You really have. You've been this brand for as long as I've known you, Kareem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. This is who you are.
Kind of like
I
you went back to your, was it 80s when you helped your friend
90.
throw like a lot of clothes in a
Oh,
fitting
oh
room?
no,
Like,
that was in
yeah,
2009, but
oh
yeah,
nine.
2009, yeah. And but in the 90s I started, I wrote that book.
You should have that book in an ebook form.
I know I should. I thought
Ebooks are
about that.
so
I'm like,
easy to
oh,
make.
I know, and I know that that's one of the things that you do, and I do need to talk to you about that.
Yeah, yeah, let's talk about that because we need to have another coffee date. But one of the ways that I use in the business strategy that I have is you must have a free value to give.
Yes, absolutely.
And that would be such a great tool for women to kind of get exposed to you, to understand what you really do on top of, and maybe you can put more of the coaching side in
Actually,
there.
I have a handout for you, and it's how to find your personal brand. And so
Awesome.
I'll send that to you, and that can be a free gift to your listeners.
That would be great.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. It's all about giving value and helping other people.
So tell me about your current life. And yes, you told us about your current business, and
Mm-hmm.
you read that card that your wonderful daughter wrote for you.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing that's happening for you right now?
My favorite thing is that the personal brand blueprint of my program took off. The thing that I'm really loving is that how so I have 3 children. I have 2 grown children in their 20s, and they have nursing careers. So they graduated and
Wow.
one has a bachelor's in nursing. She works at the OHSU Neuro ICU, and the other one has a master's in nursing, and he's a surgical nurse in New York City, and he works with
Wow.
cancer patients. And then my daughter is this super brave, uh, gregarious kid, immaculate writer, and it's just, my life is beautiful. And let me give you an example of what my life looks like. I do a lot of coaching on the phone, so I do have time freedom, and so it helps with my
Uh-huh.
clients also. But I roll in mothering and leadership for my daughter in ways in my life that, for instance, I created a girls leadership program for Sun School,
Wow.
for Portland Public School. And I, of course, offered to teach it because I'm the creator of it. But I created
Wow.
it as a way to coach my daughter, because I knew that if I just told her how to do this, it wouldn't land the same unless I was teaching her peers. And so I created a whole program for her so I could teach her along with her other friends. And so I look for ways to bring her into, my life. I want her to see, I want her to be a part of, I want her to get a sense of who I am as a woman leader, so she can see the path. My daughter, my 12-year-old, we let her travel to Alaska every summer for a month to hang out with her grandparents. And that's harder
Wow.
for us. She loves it, but it's created this courageous kid that is in touch with nature, that's not afraid to travel, that's not afraid to be away from her parents. She steps out of the box. And, I do a lot of things that incorporate into my life to build my kids, because it is my why in life. I want to be everything I am, so that I have no regrets and I'm an example, inspiration, hopefully, for my
Yeah.
kids and family.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. You have to integrate. It's all about integration of your work is your masterpiece,
Mm-hmm.
and your kids are also your masterpiece.
Yes,
And so if you can integrate both of them, it's magical, right?
it is.
And and then it also impacts other people's kids. Like one of the things that I talk about on this podcast is that some people don't grow up without a mom. And some people has a mom, but their mom is not present or their mom is in trouble, and we, as much as we glorify moms with the work that we do, there's always in everything, there's always the good and the bad. And most moms are good moms and maybe have good intentions, but there are kids and even adults that never grew up with a mom. And how great would it be to be able to listen to other moms, to be the counsel of those people that never had a mom and get to hear what a mom does from the good side. Because some people would have a bad perception of their mother, and maybe we'll just wipe out the whole motherhood population and say all moms are bad because my experience with my mom was horrible.
Right.
But showing them the positive side of motherhood and be able to listen to other moms like you and me would, I don't even know where that can take us. And the power of this podcast is I don't know who exactly, I kind of know the regulars, right? But I don't know who gets a handle of this down the road. And if we're impacting it in the world, in a global scene, that I can die.
Well, it's like I listen to podcasts like this and am inspired by women like you. I find inspiration everywhere. As you said that, it reminds me of a time when I don't know if you know that I used to be a foster parent myself for about 5 years.
Wow.
And so, there was a time that I actually took children in my home and tried to raise them because they didn't have a mother figure, a consistent mother figure, and tried to do that. And then at the same time, I was also created foster parent training and respite programs for the foster parents, because it's hard to be a foster parent. So I feel like, the work that I do now is just a culmination of everything I believe in, that I've been doing forever. It's just trying to help other people, see an example of, what they could do.
But it's also, yeah, and you said culmination, and that's really what life is all about. It's an experiment, and to me, every step of my journey is like a preparation for the future. And this was your future before, like right here, right now, we're talking, and all the things that happened to us. That's why I don't question anything in the past anymore, is because it led us to here, right? That energy led us to be talking here and be able to give value to other women and other people in general.
Absolutely.
So Lani, I know you help a lot of women, right?
I do.
Tell me one story that is your favorite with the women, and it's probably all of them your favorite, but what's that one woman story that really jumps out of you and you just feel like, oh, this is why I do what I do?
Yes, there's so much, but there's a lot of local women that I help, so I won't share the local women, but there's so much, because
you don't have to name names or anything.
Okay, but there is one that really stands out. So I met this woman when I was on my travels, and I was networking, because I like to network when I travel too, because why not? That's how I meet my friend, don't you? Because you meet the most amazing, like-minded people.
Well, and you can write off stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And so I met this woman networking, and we had coffee, and she actually became my client. And at the time, she was almost 67 years old. And she told me, she said, there was something you said about confidence and I don't have it, and I don't know who I am, and I'm almost 67 years old. And she became my VIP client. I've been working with her for a year so far, still working with her. And she's had the hugest transformation. And I just want to say, it is never too late. If you, this is the human spirit. We want to know, we're curious, like, what is our potential? If we kind of know if we haven't hit the mark, you know, but if you have the desire to think my life isn't over, like, how many more years am I going to live? Am I going to be able to do what I'm here to do, right? It's never too late. And I love working with her. I've seen her a few times traveling, you know, she's come through Portland, and yeah, that's probably my one of my biggest loves in my coaching program, is that I feel like it is never too late.
But the more you feel alive, like, I think you gave her more life, right?
Oh,
By
yeah.
doing what you just simply connecting with this woman. You gave her more life, that she became more alive, and the more alive you feel, the longer you'll live. I promise.
Yes.
Because the more alive you feel, the more you realize, gosh, I'm not done. I have more purpose. I have more things to do on this planet. And with purpose, you wake up every day with intention, and you're just excited about life.
Oh, yes, absolutely I am.
I can see that. Look at your smile.
Yes, this is the smile you get when you create the career of your dreams.
So tell us about the VIP. Do you have like a tiered program where, because you said she became your VIP client. So is that like your highest tier client?
Yes, a VIP client is like a long-term client.
Mm.
So I do a VIP day, you know, where it's like a one-day client intensive. And then I have different programs where I can put people through, like Personal Brand Blueprint is a program, BackStage Business School is a program, the Millennial Leap is a program. They are set, you know, number of sessions. And then if they want to do long-term coaching to implement what we've learned, to take it, you know, them through to their goal, then it's VIP coaching.
Wow.
That's my VIP client.
So is that like a contractual client where you put them in a contract?
You know, I believe I treat other people the way I want to be treated. And it is basically, it's a month to month. And when we're done, we're done.
Wow.
You know, I believe
I love that.
You know, I have had a lot of coaching training, but I take what resonates with me. And I, like I said, you know, I'm all about authenticity, and I treat other people the way I want to be treated. I'm all about the transformation, and when they meet the transformation and they're done, they're done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's so true. And on this planet, what I've learned is that you have to walk in your shoes. Yes, we can learn and extract knowledge from different teachers, because I myself have a lot of teachers. But you have, like you said, authenticity. You have to make it your genuine self, and package it as your brand, right? Like you said, it has to resonate with your own soul, because if it doesn't, it's a force. It's like you're forcing yourself to do things you really don't agree with, which is such hard work. It's
impossible for me.
Yeah.
At this point in my life.
So how do you use your own transformational programs for yourself?
Oh, you know what's incredible? I know that you've had clarity moments like this. I've heard you say things even in your podcast, like, wow, this was for me. Like I had an aha moment, right? In the act of helping other people, you can't help but hear what comes through for them is really for you as well, right?
I know.
It's crazy. And I think, and I said this to a lot of my clients, like, because they're like, wow, what did you just say? And I'm like, yeah, wasn't that awesome? And I said, I feel like it comes like not from me, but through me sometimes.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't even know
I can't,
what I said, but enamor some people. And I'm like, what did I say? What did I do?
Right. And then but then you think about it and like, wow, was that for me too? Do I need to hear that? So I
Sure.
learn a lot just helping other people.
Yeah, they always say there are many kinds of knowledge that we learn, like throughout our learning curve, our learning process. There's the learned knowledge, which we sit in class or a webinar and learn it. There's applied knowledge where, okay, after we learn it, we got to go apply it and see what happens. And then there's teaching knowledge um, where the teacher learns more than the student. It's really the teacher that learns more than a student. Like you said, like this, I learned it through me. Like, it's weird because if you listen to yourself sometimes, I don't know about you, but when I'm driving, I am consuming a lot of contents from other people.
Yeah.
Sometimes I listen to my own podcasts, and then I am learning myself from people like yourself, because during the interview, it's hard to absorb all the value that you dropped here. And so I'm like, I got to learn from, I got to re-listen to this episode because I don't know if I've absorbed everything yet. It takes a little bit of repetitive, it's like a practice. It takes practice and progress to create, result.
Absolutely. I think it is so powerful to go back and listen to call recordings. In fact, I record all of my phone sessions with my clients and send it to them.
Wow.
Because that way we can both be present in the moment and just really listen to each other and what we're saying. And I think the most powerful thing is when you hear yourself say something. So if I ask somebody a question and then they answer and then they say it and then they're like, wow, I can't believe I said that, right? But then I send you a recording and there's no going back now. You can't unknow something that you know, right? So there's so much power.
Oh my gosh, yes.
In coaching. So.
And you become to be honest, the more imperfect actions that I take and the more aha moments that I have in my collection of aha moments, the more I become a better speaker in public. Because absolutely. I can like, it's all these boxes of different knowledge that I have in here that I can pull out of as I'm speaking. Like I can think ahead and track my train of thought and start thinking about, okay, which file do I pull that out of?
Yes. This is why, growing old is such a gift. Especially if you can remember, what you've learned, right? And then, talking to, elders, if you just listen to the knowledge and the wisdom that they have, and it's
crazy. This is such a good life now. And, like if I see on Facebook complainers, I just skip it or just hide it, not necessarily unfollow the person, especially when I want to see what they're doing other than the complaints that they're making. But I just feel like, gosh, there's so much to be thankful for in this life now. We have everything at our fingertips. Like we don't have to work so hard like everybody else used to.
Right. And don't you think that about the positivity, the vein of positivity is that I believe that like attracts like, that law of attraction, that the more it's like, if you start thinking a lot of negative thoughts, you start thinking more and more of them. And if you go down this rabbit hole, or if you fill your life with positive people and positivity and, personal growth and helping others, that's what you get more of. Yeah. And that's the reason that I of course, I help my clients through things, but I also help them to reframe and see things in a positive, like how do we turn this into the life that you want?
Yeah.
Right? Because I really believe in that. You're creating your future.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Well, it's like manifesting, right? And you can use this as an example that is such a simple example. And frankly, everybody believes in this, but yet when it comes to your own wants and needs, you don't believe it as much as you do this, which is like if you're shopping for a specific car and you know exactly what color, what model and year, you start seeing more of it. Like, I did not know what a Tesla was until I said, I want that car one day. That is my dream car. And then I started seeing, and I want a specific color, which is white, because I think white is pure and you know, like it has a lot of, and it's peace, you know, like a dove, a white dove has a lot of symbolic you know,
symbolism,
things to it. So and then I start seeing a white Tesla, and that's when you know, okay, if I can do that in the as simple as car, I can do that with anything. But yet people believe the car part, but they can't believe manifesting the life that they want part. I don't get it.
I understand why people get in that train of thought, but that's the thing, is just getting people to believe that they can create the life that they want, right? And being an example is one way, but you know, that's why I do what I do. I love to take them by the hand and just, let me show you how to do this, right?
Yeah. Well, we're almost on our time limit, but I want to make sure I ask these last couple questions. My second to the last question for you is that, you know, with all of these technological advancement and everything being so accessible now, if your kids were listening right now, what would you tell them?
Oh, wow.
What would be your message to them?
My message to them is just stop getting in your own way. Stop thinking that you are not capable or that you're worthy to have your big dream. You just need to, you know, I'm not talking about a goal, but I'm talking about a dream. Like that you deserve to have everything that you want in life, and you can have it. And you don't have to feel like this wasn't for you. You know, I want you to feel that you can create the life that you want.
That's awesome. If a woman that is on, I call it a pocket, if there's a woman right now listening to this podcast and they're currently in the pocket of being indecisive whether to go for it or not, because I was there, right? I had a traditional brick and mortar business, and I was in this pocket of pulling the plug or not to pull the plug, and was very afraid of what was on the other side, even though I wanted to know what's on the other side. What would you tell that woman that is currently in that pocket right now?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I'm not a big, you know, it's not like I will give advice and just saying, forget all your financial obligations and just go for it and, you know, be irresponsible. I'm not a proponent of being irresponsible. However, I am a proponent of just going for it and taking that, like that massive imperfect action, because if you don't, the answer is already no. It's already made for you. If you don't take that risk, you don't get to have it. It's already a no. So what is it? You know, what is it that you want? Do you want to wonder later, years later, about if you should have, if you could have?
Wow.
Right?
That's awesome.
There's definitely, when there's a will, there is a way. I have lived it. I've seen my mom. I've seen, like, you know, you can do it.
I've lived it.
Right? High five.
High five, sister. I always say, like, when you said the answers are already created, unless for every step that you take, the answer is right there waiting. But if you're stuck right here, it doesn't come to you.
Oh, it can't. It's the same thing. And this is what I tell people all the time. If you live here in the stuck, like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know. I can't, you know, I don't know why I don't have the courage. I don't know why I don't have the confidence. All that is creating more of the same thoughts, and will actually keep you stuck, right?
Yep.
You don't have to figure out why you're stuck when you're stuck. You have to you just have to move forward. You'll connect the dots behind you. True. That's how you figure it out. And that's the biggest mistake that people make, is in where they're feeling stuck. Is it trying to figure out why they're stuck?
Yeah, it's that pocket.
Yeah.
I heard this the other day and I wrote it down. So I wanted to, before I go to my last question, I wanted to read it because it surrounds this whole thing that we're talking about right now. And it's really, really powerful. And it says, quitting doesn't take away failure. It just takes away the chance of winning.
Oh, I love that.
It's an amazing statement. And it says, confidence backed up by competence is magic.
Oh, yes.
And then for those who hit rock bottom and you think you're in rock bottom, it says, when you rock bottom, it's not the bottom. It's a springboard.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is a lot of profound statement I heard the other day. And that's what I do is I consume all these beautiful content and I just meditate about it, like, oh, what does that really mean? Like for my own life, right?
Words are so powerful.
It's powerful. Last question. It's 10:59. It's so we're almost an hour.
Okay.
What is your definition of a mother hustler?
Oh, a mother hustler. Number one, I think that you can mother without actually giving birth. There's a lot of ways to mother, as you know, being a foster parent. So I think there's a lot more women that fall into the definition of mother. A mother hustler is somebody who really believes in herself, in her family, and that she can have it all, and create the life for her children and for herself and be the example of what they can have outside of even her potential.
Wow.
I think had I only stretched as far as my mom could stretch, I wouldn't be where I am. And I want my children to feel like they can be whatever they want beyond what I'm able to create. Right?
Yeah, but your impact though, Lani, will go beyond our lifetime. Like our impact that we're leaving, especially the impact that we leave with, other women, other moms, our own children. We don't know what our children's going to become with what tools we give them and what ideas we give them. So I always say my impact doesn't have to happen in my lifetime. It can happen beyond my lifetime. Like this is a long-term, work. What I'm doing is a long-term. I don't necessarily need the result in my lifetime. Right. So anyways, thank you so much. Wow. I've learned so much about you myself that I did not know about. So I appreciate you pouring into this podcast today.
My pleasure.
I before I let you go, I want to commend you for all the things that you're doing to make an impact to a lot of women out there, because a lot of women really do need that one-to-one help that you do, and you're already seeing the results that you're bringing into the world. And I know Dr. G is going to be on my podcast, and she raves about Lani. She loves you, and she has a lot to give herself. Just the hug that she gives when you walk in her clinic is amazing. So I just want to say, keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right track, and the smile. I can tell when people are on the right track, because that smile and the facial expression that you give when you talk about, especially that 67-year-old woman that you helped, and I'm sure a vast majority of your clients, it's soul enriching, isn't it?
Oh, it is wonderful.
And it's amazing that we can even make a living too at the same time. And it's a byproduct, of really what we want to do. So thank you for doing everything that you're doing. And I can't wait for our next coffee date, or maybe
Yes.
happy hour.
Yes.
And I'll see you around. I'll probably see you tomorrow at the networking in the morning. So
Yes, absolutely. Thank
take
you
care,
so
my
much.
friend.
All right.
Love you.
I love you too.
Take care. Bye bye.
All right. Bye-bye.